Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Tuesday. That means we have the good old Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. And then the second portion of today's program will be joined by Franz Beard also. It's a Gator Bait Tuesday basically today on the program. Get both their thoughts on what's going on with Gator athletics and sports around the world. If you missed it last night, the Celtics sweep the Nets. I'll tell you what, the Celtics, in my opinion, have a very good chance of winning it all. They're very, very young and athletic and long. And out of the West, I think it's either going to be the Grizzlies or the Warriors. So I think the Celtics are the best team in basketball, though, right now. Let's go ahead and head to the Titan MR hotline. And we're joined by Buddy Martin. You can listen to Buddy every Monday through Thursday on Facebook Live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good morning, Buddy. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. I'll take your word on the Celtics. You'll have to keep me up with what's going on. I don't watch it.
Well, there's been some really good basketball games. The 76ers had a 3-0 lead. They're down 3-2. The Raptors, playing without one of their starters who's injured, went into Philly and beat them last night. You know, what's crazy is people forget Joel Embiid is probably going to be the most valuable player of the National Basketball Association. He is
Michael Jordan's not there anymore?
Say it again?
Michael Jordan is not playing there anymore?
Where? For the 76ers?
The NBA.
No,
Michael Jordan.
He's not. That's the last time you watched?
Yeah, I think I watched a couple of games.
The reason I bring Joel Embiid up, you know where he went to high school, right, buddy?
Probably in Mississippi.
No, Gainesville.
Mm.
He was at the Rock.
I did hear that, yes.
Yeah. So I don't remember what year he came out. I wonder if Sports Talk was giving Billy Donovan a lot of crap because he goes to Kansas. He's a one-and-doner. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He is really, really good. So we got Chris tells me right here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law. He says, Shane, tell Buddy to get off your lawn at some point this morning.
Well, you know I love you, Shane. I like to have
I still don't understand why you say I'm a get off my lawn kind of guy.
Because you're very conservative in your approach and you think like an old man like me. And I think like a young guy like you. Now, wait a minute. You asked me a question. Allow me to answer it. It's a joke. But right. The thing is that you have hated NIL and don't tell, I want players to get paid. I told Ivan Mazel last night, who, by the way, is one of the owners of On3 and is a brilliant writer, journalist, sports guy for a long time. I told him, I said, Shane saying that is about players getting paid, et cetera. We all know NIL's been going on for a long time, as Jimbo Fisher said. Now it's just legitimate. But it's like saying, you know what? I love New York City, except I can't stand that traffic. Well, guess what? You're going to have the traffic if you got New York City. So there are a lot of things wrong with it. And I'm trying to figure it out, Shane. But you know what? I'm too busy, Shane. You know why? I got a call yesterday, or apparently a message from Elon Musk. He said, I got an offer of you some kind, but you got to get back to me in 30 minutes. I was too busy to call him back. I don't know what it was about. What was going on yesterday with Elon Musk? I don't know. Something.
You missed out. And I happen to listen to a little bit. I've had Ivan on my show. He's a tremendous man, and he's gone through a lot with his son and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
But I listened to the first part, and I had to go do something. He basically, it sounded like he was agreeing with some of the stuff that I said, buddy.
He did. He agrees with. By the way, I am not for just being the wild, wild west either, Shane. You know that. Yeah. We all like to protect the integrity of the game. That's our goal. To protect the integrity of our game. And they've taken away our joy in some regards, but there's also a lot of hope. Look, I can say to you, this is the year of the mediocre Gator right now. Think about it. Losing season in football. Didn't go to the NCAA tournament. Baseball team not ranked in the top 25. in danger of the postseason. Even softball, your buddy Tim Walton's team's out of the top 10. So now,
the thing about what you just said, they're out of the top 10.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the standard, right?
Yeah, but they're still ranked, and there's, I think,
no. I mean,
10 SEC schools ranked in the top 20.
Okay, I'll give you that, but it's not what it always is. That's my point. Things are different. Things are different, and And by the way, you took over a quarterback and played on a team that brought Florida out of the wilderness. Remember the year before? Well, not year before, but the year that Charlie Pell was here. What happened with the probation, and then they got into trouble. Of course, Pell had a horrible first year. Didn't 0-10-1. How low could that be? But there's a transition that goes on in sports, and sometimes you have to have that down year to get that year with it's going to be good. This is a down year. Let's be honest. But does it keep athletes from doing well in the NIL? No, because I read a tweet from Gator Collective, Eddie Rojas, former Gator baseball player, who said he had writer's cramp from writing so many contracts over the weekend. So the two things don't mesh in terms of money and what's happened on the field.
Yeah, but again, I just want to clear it up again. What the Gator Collective is doing, I have zero problems with.
Mm-hmm.
They're not writing a check to player X just to come play football. They're those kids are doing appearances, coming on your shows. They're learning about a lot of other things.
Yes,
they're connecting. They're connecting with Gator Gator fans and boosters. That is not what I think that's outstanding. And like I said from day one, I have no problems with kids making money, signing autographs, jersey sales, endorsements, card, commercial, whatever. It's the nonsense of just saying, hey, we're going to outbid that team for you to come play for us. So,
and I hate it too, Shane. Yeah, I hate it too. Yeah. But what do you do about it? I told you last night.
Here's the thing, buddy. Here's the thing. My personal opinion, if they don't get it under control, we don't have the pockets, the deep pockets. Like I said on your show last night, people may not be aware of this. Texas A&M just raised $200 million to refurbish their facilities, which were already state of the art.
Right.
They just did that. So it's absolutely crazy. But, doing facilities and all that stuff, I'm all for that. I just don't agree with what Texas A&M took $30 million and bought a recruiting class. So anyway, enough of that. Buddy, I want to get your thoughts on this. Scott, somebody asked me the other day who I thought the greatest Gator football team was. Who would I take? I said I'd take the 96 team.
Mm-hmm.
Scott says, Shane, you said yesterday you thought the 96 team was the greatest Gator team. If your 90 team played the 96 team, who wins? Keep in mind the 90 team gave up fewer points per game. You had a higher completion percentage than Danny with fewer picks. I'd say 90 Gators win 28-24. We were a good team, but the 96 team had way more pros. The receivers, the running backs, defensive. I mean, let's just put it this way. If we don't have success in the 90 and 91, those dudes on the 95 and 96 teams would have never come here.
No doubt about it, by the way. Yeah. And if Spurrier doesn't come in 1966, you don't have it either. But that's just what it is. That's building the reputation and the heritage brick by brick, as Carlos Alvarez said. Each team put a brick or two in that stadium or more. Certainly the 90 team was huge because of what it did. It turned the events of the world around. Now, there was an 84 team that actually was ranked number one in the country with the New York Times for a while. That team was really good. And I can take you back to the 69 team, which I personally love. Reeves to Alvarez. And then back to Spurrier's 66 team. So you can maybe do a poll this summer on your show, Shane, asking people to rank those teams. And by the way, 2018 wasn't bad either.
We got a text here on the Titan Mark text line. It's from Daryl. He says, this NIL is eventually going to cause division in the locker room. The 96 team would have beaten the 06 and 08 teams.
I guess that's the end of the argument. Daryl said it.
Daryl said it. Andy's got a question for you, buddy, before we jump into a couple of topics here. He says, buddy, how do you go about working with the Gator Collective to get players like Trey Dean on your show?
Good question. You know what? And I tell you, it started with ignorance on my behalf. Ignorance. The realization that when I was away visiting my daughter in Pennsylvania, that I had no idea what was going on with college sports anymore. The transfer portal was a bit of a mystery. I was beginning to figure it out, but not really. And then I realized I didn't know a damn thing about NIL. And I said, well, how do I change that? And I started thinking about it. Well, maybe I need to talk to the people involved. You hear all these stories. I don't know what they're doing in Texas A&M or Arkansas or Southern Cal. I don't have, but I can deal with the people who are involved at Florida. Eddie Rojas talked to me back in the fall and told me a little bit about it. I had my doubts. I said, I don't know if I want to get involved with that or not. You know, I'm not sure. But in my quest, to give you a short answer, to learn about it, Jen Grosso, who's fantastic, she's Eddie's partner. I talked to Eddie and I said, I'd like to talk to some of these players. Can we work something out? He said, yeah, I can get you players if you want to do a Gator Collective corner on your show. And I said, I'm in, let's do it. And so we started having the athletes and we gave it a trial, and Ben Troop does the show with me. Now he's got his own podcast with he's got a really good one with it right now with Ventrell Miller, 84 Reasons, because I want to hear from the players. Is it working for them? And I counted together this morning, I think it's 12 players, actually 13 counting the fact we had Derek Wingo twice. Each one of these guys, it wasn't at all what I expected. They were not all that promotional. There were a couple like Valentino selling his sister's cookies, Girl Scout cookies. And we gave him, but help we gave, he sold a bunch of them. But I found out that these players were doing good things. They're learning about money. And they're not, okay, RF-15 drives a brand new car from Janesville Dodge. I would too. I went to heck. But I found out that they were more concerned about, can I get some money to send my mother some rent? Can I help my little sister out with this? Can I help my brother who does his college? And they use the money for good. Now, I'm not saying they all do that all the time, but in my experience, I found out that these guys are really impressive. And in my lifetime, Shane, I've interviewed thousands of people. So I have a little bit of idea who's pulling my chain, who's not. I couldn't be more impressed. And how did I get it? I guess pure luck.
Yeah. Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, Texas schools, Georgia, Alabama, and some schools out west have a lot more cash than UF, unfortunately.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Florida just got another, 8 million last week. They've got some deep pockets of guys who've got a lot of money who written them checks over. They're not doing. Scott Strickland's not exactly on poverty road. Okay, he's got some cash coming in and people with deep pockets, and they're answering a call. So but let me ask you this, Shane. 2 teams in the American League East: the New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. Who's got the better team?
Well, it's the Rays. There's no question about that.
How much? What's their payroll?
It ain't much.
It ain't much. That's right. And what's the Yankees? Unbelievable.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So you get my point. You can't always buy championships. All right.
I got your point. But I think the fan base, when they see Texas A&M, who just like in the last week raised $200 million.
Yeah, but Jimbo Fisher might screw it up. You don't know.
Well, I think Jimbo's under more pressure than any coach in America.
He is. He got the greatest recruiting class of all time, according to him. They got more money than anybody, including the Rockefellers or now Elon Musk, and they can't win. He better be winning some championships.
Yep. I wanted to bring this up. Duke asked the question, and we can talk to Franz about it too. He says, QB, what has happened to all the players that we're expecting to transfer out? Yesterday, Chris Howard, the kicker, is in the transfer portal. Mm-hmm. You may see it happen. It's got to happen by May 1st, which I guess is Monday. Yeah. Which it may or may not. I know that we're looking at a wide receiver from Arizona State, some defensive linemen as well.
Tackle from Maryland, I think. Maybe I don't know.
I think kids are kind of gun shy now to go into the portal. Because think about it. just think about the Gators on this football team. They saw Emory Jones go in that transfer portal. He's still sitting in that transfer portal.
Yeah, he is. I guess he got
nothing against Emory, but there's 1,000 kids like Emory who have entered that transfer portal in the last year and a half and still are sitting there. And they give up that opportunity to go to school and everything be paid for. So I don't know. I still think you'll see some transfer, maybe not.
I think Franz will tell you he expects a lot more to go. He's said all the time he expects up to 15 or more. I think they got 3 or 4. I don't even know. But you mentioned Chris Howard. He didn't have a great game. He saw the writing on the wall. What's he got? He's he graduated. I don't know if he has or not.
Yeah, I think he's a graduate.
Graduate guy. And he the guy behind him kicked a 62 and a 48. And he knows they've got Trey Smack coming on. So, look, Shane, if you were around and this is 1990 and you didn't have Steve Spurrier coming to town to coach your team, you'd be shopping for the portal to get to Ole Miss.
Well, I tried that. Well, my parents said no.
Yeah.
They're like, you're not transferring.
Yeah. Different day.
Buddy, I'm curious about if your answer to this. This is from David, brought to you by Meldon Law on Facebook. He says, Bama and Georgia have nowhere near the ability to raise capital compared to other programs like USC, Notre Dame, Stanford, heck, even Rutgers. But they have the desire.
I don't quite get that. Georgia can get a lot of money.
Alabama's got more money. They got
and it's Auburn. My gosh, they got rich alumni who heads of tech company. I don't know. Look, it's a new stat. I don't know who's leading in money right now. I can't keep up. There is a site, by the way, if you want to know about the transfer portal, a couple. And Shane, to your credit, you've been saying this all along. The number of people now in the portal versus what there were a year ago. A lot of people are still sitting there, and it's not working all that great. To me, if I'm a player, I'm going to talk to a coach before I go into the portal and say, if I go to the portal, will you pick me? I'd have somebody. And they got agents who do this now. You're not supposed to, but you do. So I guess that's one of the things. Yeah, I mean, let's see how it works out. It's going to be it's not as you said, it's not a slam dunk. Emory Jones, who knows where he'll go, but he's got some ball left him. I guess he visiting Arizona State. Is that it? Or I forget Arizona. Well, Dan will know that. Yeah,
it's Arizona State. All right, here's an interesting Facebook Live. I love these Facebook Lives. Jeff says, UF has 30% more graduates than Alabama and Georgia. UF grads can pay at least as much as to recruits as those schools if we get ourselves organized and are passionate about winning. Okay, I'm going to answer that first.
Okay.
Majority of the graduates at the University of Florida, and probably at most institutions, don't give a damn about the football team. If you think about it. I mean, they're going to give their money to the business school or the College of Engineering or whatever. I mean, do you agree or disagree with that, buddy?
No, I don't agree with it.
You don't?
No.
So you're going to sit here and tell me that all the people that graduate from the university, whatever university it is, they are diehard about their football program.
Oh, I didn't say diehard. Those are your words. You said don't care about it.
I know a lot that don't.
Well, and there are some.
Multiple schools.
Look, the guy who started Gator Collective was a baseball player, but he has a lot of football.
But he's an athlete. I'm saying that you would be surprised at the people that graduate. That I'll give you an example. Okay, I've done this multiple times. So I do a pregame radio show on game day with Steve Russell in the student union. It's 3 or 4 hours for kickoff. Yeah. Once that show ends, I go and I tailgate. Then I go. This is before I started doing radio. But then I would go and sit in my seats and watch maybe the first quarter.
Go home, watch on TV.
And I'd haul butt to my parking spot.
Yeah.
And I would be home before the second quarter usually kicked off.
Yeah.
As I'm running through the student union, there are people in there studying on a game day. Okay. Now, you think those people give a damn about football?
Well, that's not the same thing. Okay, that's always been the case.
He's saying that we have 30% more graduates than Alabama and Georgia. But my point is, there's only a handful of those graduates that care about sports.
Well, yeah, I guess a different thing. Yeah, I would agree with that. But
Yeah,
I don't agree with the fact that they don't give a damn about football. I mean, look, the genius of the Gator Collective, and I'm not stumping for Eddie Rojas. I don't get a nickel from those guys, okay? Majority of those guys, I mean, the genius of Gator Collective is they don't have to all be oligarchs. I've just learned that word now, what that is over in the guys in Russia with all the money. They're not the ones who have to be filthy rich. But if you give up your coffee money, for Starbucks once a week at $6, $7, whatever it may be, you can be a member of Gator Collective. And that month, they're going for the masses. That's what the collective is. It's sort of communism in a way, Shane.
Right. And again,
and so that you don't have to have all those oligarchs. But Florida's got those. So my point is, yes, you're talking about the segment called the eggheads that we used to call them, who all they cared about was getting their backs on the SAT, and God bless them. That's important. I'm saying it's not true. Most of them don't. A lot of students don't care. That's right.
Well, and another reason that will back up my argument there is look at the student section in the last 10 years.
Well, that's true, but that's not just because of that. It's because of conditions. They couldn't use their phones there. It's hot.
It's because of admissions.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
I can't tell you how many Gator
I know. I've heard this story.
Legacy wanted to go. So anyway, enough of that. QB, John says, QB, if someone elects to stay at Florida, do you think they could pull their scholarship so they use it on a transfer kid? Yes and no. You have to be careful there. That's the nice way of cutting a kid.
Mm-hmm.
That kid coaches,
but they're not. They're renewed year to year. You can quit. They're not like
but here's the thing:
guaranteed.
Before the transfer portal, if I was your coach, buddy, mm-hmm. and you went to Ocala Forest, correct?
Mm-hmm. It wasn't Forest when I went there, but Ocala High, yeah.
Okay, well, let's just say Forest. So mm-hmm. if I bring Buddy Martin in, I was like, Buddy, you know what? We're going to go a different direction. We're going to take your scholarship away.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my staff and our school can never recruit your high school again because that high school coach would not allow it because we just took a scholarship away from you. But in today's world, with the transfer portal,
mm-hmm.
in your exit meeting, I can say, hey, buddy, you know what?
Yeah.
We got this guy, and this guy.
Yeah.
We really like you, but we will help you if you want to try to go somewhere else. And that's kind of the way for them to push you out the door, bringing their guys.
That's true. You got to care because you're recruiting all the time to everybody, including your own players. And the word gets out there that they didn't treat them right. And then you go, people aren't going to come see you. So, yeah, that's part of it. You're right.
Joseph says, no, buddy, that's crazy. Can you imagine the backdooring that would go on if that was allowed? You can't allow any communication with other schools until kids enter the portal. That's happening on a daily basis.
Yeah, that gets serious.
I know for a fact. I got several buddies that have kids playing at multiple colleges.
Of course.
And then they have younger siblings that are being recruited.
Yeah.
And when they go or make a phone call or show up at the school or whatever, they are not only recruiting the kid that's still in high school, they're recruiting the brother that's at whatever institution to come.
Don't you think for 1 second they're not shopping? They're all shopping. Okay.
Yes,
if you believe that, I got some land for you in the Everglades.
Yeah. So Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com or give them a call at 352-240-1779. Speaking with Buddy Martin here on the Titan MR Hotline. Buddy, get off my lawn. How about that?
Please. Get off my lawn.
Charlie says, the NIL stuff should have the Ivy League schools entering big-time college sports. They have more money at their disposal than any other colleges in America. They do, but they don't care. They're not going to. They're not morons.
No.
They're not going to pay anybody to come play football or basketball.
Which is why we have to have this division. We won't talk about it now. This culture is changing. It's going to happen. Some people have been talking about it for a long time. Going to have the 65 Power Fives. The rest of them are going to play in the sandbox in Division II. This is what's going to happen. The prophecy will be fulfilled.
That's true. I hope it happens. Andy says here, it's pretty funny. Lots of international students who could care less about football at UF, which they think is soccer.
Well, that's true. There's some of that. But look, it's not going to stop this. I mean, it's a little bit tougher now than it was in 1990 when Coach Spurrier was the coach and people were excited. And even the first couple of years of Mullen. But when you have a down year or two, people lose interest. Look, I got to admit, I spent a lot of time watching Rays baseball lately. And especially when I got to watch a team like the Gator baseball team get whacked by Tennessee 3-and-out, and look, I'm a fair weather fan. I rewatch it because I have to. It's my business. But listen, I'll tell you what, you're looking for the joy in sports, right? I saw some of the weekend that just blew me away. I loved it. And nobody else cares but me. I don't care. To watch Kevin Kiermaier, my favorite Ray, hit a walk-off home run against the Red Sox when he was like, he couldn't bit, like the saying goes, couldn't hit a bull in the ass with a bass fiddle, okay? He was doing nothing, couldn't get it. And then he comes to bat in the 10th inning and hits one out for the home run. And first walk-off he ever had. He was so happy. And he just danced around the bases. And I thought, man, this is fun to see this when you got a team that you're rooting for and watching to have a walk-off against the Red Sox who were beating their butts in the previous game and were probably going to be in the series. It was a great moment for me. And Shane, isn't that what we all want? The joy out of sports, right? The joy. Don't rob us of our joy.
No, I agree. Greg says Kiermaier is batting 143.
That was what's so great about it.
Yeah. We got a text here on the Titan Mar text line. It comes from David. Buddy, what about Tennessee baseball trolling the Gators by wearing the Gator football helmets? And also, do you think Sully is in trouble having a losing record the last 3 years in the Southeast?
Yes, great questions, both. I think it sucks that they were allowed to do that. They violated something they shouldn't have done. And you know what's going to happen? Payback is hell, brother. They're already talking about it now on the Gator. You think they were fired up about Tennessee before? They invaded a space that was sacred and really danced on their graves. That will go down as one of the biggest blunders by Tennessee because the Vols are going to pay for that. It's going to happen. That was an awful thing that happened. And, I hope they do pay for it. What was the second question?
Do you think Sully's in trouble?
You know what? In trouble is a kind of a vague term. Let's just say Sully is now being questioned. I would say he'll survive it without any problem, but he better not do it again next year. He had a brand new stadium. He's got all those great hitters. He's got guys that came back for the draft, and his ace went down. And it's a tough go. Sully's too good of a baseball coach to be fired because he had a bad year. But the program is really, really suffering right now. And I don't know what will happen at the end of the year, but if they don't do something to build on next year, and they did find 2 new starters, Shane, a couple of young guys that can start. That'll be helpful. Knowing Sully, he'll figure something, but it might be too late.
Dan says Gators need to wear baseball caps in Knoxville for football.
I like that. Dan's crazy. I love this. Why I love him. Yeah, I love that. Come out in baseball hats. Yeah, Vols.
If UT broke into the locker room, they need a press charge. They didn't. They went over to the shower,
yeah.
Which I can't figure. I'm waiting to get answers. I asked.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? What's the deal?
I don't know, and I don't know why helmets were laying around because there's helmets. There's no helmets in a locker right now. They have to be left over in the visiting locker room. Maybe that's where they're doing all the recruiting pictures and things of that nature.
That's not good. And let me know what you find out because I think that's a security breach in my opinion.
Okay. Well, buddy, we appreciate it. Who you got on the program tonight?
David Whitley, who's a really funny guy, writes a column, as you know. And by the way, we're going to have a sort of a joy test tonight. And I want to say to find our joy, and I'm going to ask questions, and I'll just ask you one right now. What have you accomplished in sports that you're proud of? You ever had a walk-off home run in your life, pitch a no-hitter? Now, you've done a lot. You've had that moment. Take out football and talk about your life. What have you ever done? I mean, I've never pitched a no-hitter. I came close a bunch of times. Never got it. You ever had a home run or a walk-off? What have you done that you're proudest of in sports? What gives you joy that you've done? Which is what is the joy of sports. It's a pretty long list. Well, let's see what David says. And I'll ask you next week, can you pass this joy test? How many of these have you ever done? taking football out of it, and I know you were a basketball player and other things. How many things have you done, and what are you proud of?
I was a baseball player. I never hit a no-hitter because I played shortstop, but I did
home run.
I did hit a walk-off, I believe.
Well, that's great.
I don't know if it was a walk-off, though. I don't think it was in the bottom of the ninth. So it would have been like in the top of the ninth.
Game-winning home run. And it's a wonderful thing. By the way, that would be a name of a great bar. Is there one called Walk-Off? Walk-Off?
Well, our good friend Frank Frangie, who does a lot of good work up in Jacksonville, he has a charity called Walk-Off Charities.
That's where I heard it.
What it does, it takes underprivileged children
that's a good program.
Out.
Yeah.
And they teach them they give them gloves, and they teach them how to fill bottles.
That's where I heard it.
Little kids. It's awesome.
There's walk-ons. There's one of those, I know.
That's a restaurant.
By the way, Frank Frangie's on our show tomorrow night.
All right. Well, ask Frank about his golf game.
I will. So tonight, David Whitley, and we'll hear, there's a really good podcast Ben Troop is doing called 84 Reasons. She's got Ventrell Miller. We played a bite from that last night, and then we have have a new one. Neil Schulman is a guy that is around here in the media. He's going to talk a little about hoops, big basketball guy, and we'll talk about that, among other things.
Speaking of hoops, real quick, Providence, who I think the world head coach, Ed Cooley. Wow. Boy, they have brought in about 6. Noah Locke's one of them, but they brought in dudes from Kentucky.
They got one. Already got one. Apparently, I saw today they got a Kentucky guy. So, that's stuff going. I can't keep up. Shane, for crying out loud. I can't even get to Elon Musk's telephone call, let alone that stuff.
All right, buddy. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon, my man.
Tell Aaron Duke hello. See you.
I will. That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan Number Hotline. Going to take a quick time out. Come back. We'll be joined by Franz Beer from Gator Bait as well.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, Aikido America, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate, with premium brands like Dave & Buster's, Bass Pro Shops, Hotel Indigo, Medici's, Escape Apology, Kilwin's, and the HBC's Restaurant Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where you can get 50% off a bottle of wine every Wednesday. We'll see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go back to the Titan Number Hotline, and we're joined by the Iron Duke from Gator Bait, Franz Beard. Good morning, Franz. How are you?
It's a wonderful day. Beautiful sunshine, not a cloud in the sky. Couldn't be better.
Yeah. We've had multiple people ask here on Facebook Live. I believe myself, yourself included, thought we'd have a bunch of transfers going out of the football program before that May 1st deadline. We still have a few days. Do you still see that happening?
I think we're going to see multiple transfers. I think a lot of guys already know what they're doing and so forth like that, and they're getting their act together, making sure that, for example, where am I with my grades? This is finals week, everything like that. One of the things you got to be able to do if you're transferring is you got to make sure you got the grades to do it. I know, for example, Alex Fudge is transferring in from LSU for Todd Golden's basketball team. And one of the things that had happened before he could get in there, before they announced it, he said he was coming, and about 4 days later, we got the official announcement. And the reason was it took those 4 days to make sure that everything was straight academically. So I think a lot of guys, this is finals week. I think come Friday, Saturday, you're going to start seeing a flood of transfers. I think, Shane, we're going to see a minimum of 12, maximum maybe 18.
Leaving the Florida football team.
Leaving the Florida football team. I think there's a lot of guys. I think there's a lot of guys out there who, after this spring, understand they're not going to climb up the chart, that he's looking for transfers at his position, which means they're going to stay buried. So I think there's a lot of guys that are going to transfer. There's programs out there like UAB and stuff like that, where South Alabama, where a kid can come transfer in and play. Maybe he hasn't played at Florida, but that doesn't mean he's not capable of playing college football. So people like UAB will be happy to take a freshman or a sophomore from Florida who hasn't played. That's a big deal for them. But there's a lot of guys, I think, that are going to find they're buried. You know, they've got like 17 offensive linemen. He needs 3. He's got 7 who can play, as you know. It would be a stretch to say 8, but 7 for sure that can play, because you've got, for example, you got Josh Braun, who I think he's one of their 5 best, but, they've got a problem where you're going to play him, because you got Torrance on one side, you got Ethan White on the other. And he's not really a tackle. I think Michael Tarquin, for example, I think he's an adequate pass protector, but I question, can he get the job in the running game the way they want to run the football? So I think they're going to be looking for a transfer there, which means somebody who's backing up Michael Tarquin is going to sit there and say, you know what? Western Kentucky sounds really good about now. Furman sounds really good about right now. I think there's a lot of guys that just want to play, and they're going to be transferring out. But if you look, we're only seeing a trickle of the transfers. I talked to somebody yesterday who told me that over the next 5 days, they think there's going to be a flood. They think there's going to be anywhere from 800 to 1,000 kids who announce that they're transferring over the next 5 days.
Wow. All right. So you think anywhere between 12 and 18 kids could be heading out of the Gator football program. Obviously, that opens up a lot of scholarships, if they're scholarship. I mean, maybe some of them are walk-ons, who knows? But realistically, how many transfers do you think Billy Napier and his staff are hoping to bring in?
Well, let's do a little bit of scholarship math first off. They got 87 on scholarship, and he's given 5 walk-on scholarships. Noah Keeter's going to get one. Boateng, the tackle, is going to get one. Kyle Pitts, we're pretty sure is going to get one. But anyway, he's going to have 5 scholarships that are given to walk-ons. That's 92, okay? Now, your super seniors, which you got 4 of them, don't count. So, okay, we're at 88 there. That means that if 3 transfer out, you're just at the bare minimum right there, but you can't replace them. Now, the NCAA rule says that you could replace up to 7 guys without them counting against the numbers who transfer, who, if they were in the portal by December 15th. So we brought in 5 and we lost 5. So that was an absolute wash. So to get to 85 and still do it, that means they're going to have 12 to go out, and I think he needs 10 guys. He needs 3 offensive linemen, for example. He needs, I think, 3 wide receivers. I think he needs 1 guy at least who's a burner, a guy like Terrell Hatton, who just transferred into Alabama. Now, he's a guy that didn't put up big numbers, Shane, as far as total catches. He only had 18 catches. but they were for 526 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's a guy who's got so much speed. He was timed at a 4.2440 at Pro Day. That's quicker than anybody Florida has. You put a guy like that opposite a guy like Justin Shorter. I think Justin Shorter, you heard me once before say, I thought Justin Shorter had COVID last year, and people say, I didn't know that. And I said, well, he must have, because he was wide open all year and they wouldn't throw him the football. Nobody would cover him. Justin Shorter is a big-time receiver who has never gotten the football, and he gets open all the time. But he's your guy that you want, at 6'5" and 230 pounds, he's the guy you want. He's going to win those 50-50 balls, and he's a guy that's not afraid to go over the middle and get open. But you still need that guy that can back the safeties off. You remember, I'll give you the perfect example of what happens when you do that. If you remember the Ohio State game in 2006, the national championship game, they were so aware of Florida's speed on the outside, their safeties were playing 25 yards off the line of scrimmage. They were not going to get beat deep. So what Florida do? They just dinked and dunked the whole ball game. Chris Leak had, I think, 26 completions in that ball game, but he only threw for maybe 220 yards. But that's because they were all the dink and dunk variety. But when you got speed, you can do that. And Florida's going to need that speed because I think they're going to be so run heavy this year. I would say they're probably going to be about a 60-40 ratio. That's Billy's worst year at Louisiana. I think they were 58-42 run to pass. Most years they were like about 61-62 to 38. That doesn't mean they're not going to throw it, but they use their passing game judiciously, and that's when you play their safeties up. They're going to try to throw it over the top, and that's why you got to have that burner. And so, but they're going to need 3 there. They're going to need 3 offensive linemen. They've got 7 who can play. You need 10. I think you need 4 defensive tackles, and I would like to see them get 1 or 2 guys who are like in that 6'4", 6'5", 255-pound range. A guy like Nakobe Dean, for example, that Georgia had last year.
Those guys ain't gonna be in the portal there, Franz.
But yes, they are. Oh yeah, they are. You're going to see them. You're going to see guys who are capable of that. But they're at places where they're at schools that, as we would say, don't matter.
Right, smaller
but
schools.
But they'll be there because they want to come to a school that they think does matter. But yeah, there's going to be some guys like that in the portal, and you're going to be surprised at the number of guys who are going to transfer out of Alabama. They had one yesterday, a former four-star recruit who was the number 12 defensive back in the country 2 years ago. He's in the portal. You're going to have guys like that. Alabama and Georgia are no different than anybody else. They got guys that want to play, and they're going to hit the portal too. So there will be guys like that. There's going to be talent. It's just a matter of you got to connect with the right thing. And unfortunately, I think this is where NIL comes in there, and I'm going to use this in a negative connotation. But I know for a fact there are guys out there right now that before they're putting their name in the portal, they're shopping themselves and saying, okay, they're calling up guys. How much did you get when you went to Texas A&M? How much did you get when you got to Ole Miss? How much did you get when you went to LSU? LSU's giving big time. There's a lot of money being spent on name, image, and likeness to get all these transfers into LSU. I mean, you look at LSU's their defensive backfield next year is going to have 5 guys who are all transfers from power conferences.
How much are they getting? Do you have any idea?
This is unofficial, and it's hearsay, but I would guess it's probably pretty close to true. They're looking at everybody's going to get at least $40,000. to come in, and which, would work out monthly, $3,500 a month, something like that. I think we're going to have a situation where if you're not willing to pay what's equivalent of a working salary, I don't think you're going to get guys, Shane. Just don't.
Yeah, and like I said, I've had really heated discussions with Buddy over the NIL. I have no problem, and I haven't talked to you about this, the NIL of kids getting paid for autographs, jersey sales, appearances, or whatever. I have a problem with this buying players, but it's almost now, it's like, okay, if you sign a scholarship, you're almost guaranteed, as you said, like LSU, $40,000. Now we may throw some incentives in there, but it's going to be a mess. And, people talk about expanding the playoffs. That'll be great, but it's still going to be the same group of people, whoever pay the most money. Although I don't know if Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia actually have to pay players to come there. They want to go there and win. So it's a crazy dynamic. What are your thoughts on that, real quick?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head that Alabama, Georgia don't have to pay that much, although they have active boosters who will, they're going to spend some money, but they don't have to spend as much money. For example, the estimates were that Jimbo spent $3 million to get his recruiting class. Now, Jimbo, of course, denies it.
I thought it was $30 million.
You've seen, it may have been $30 million, but it was a lot of money just the same. It was,
Yeah.
Even if it was $3 million, even if it was $3 million, that's an awful lot of money. It's crazy money. The NCAA, in its infinite wisdom, just threw this thing out there without any rules and regulations. I think NIL, Shane, is going to end up being the divorce papers for the power schools. I agree with Jack Swarbrick, who's the athletic director at Notre Dame, who says when all these television contracts expire in the mid 2030s, that's when you're going to see the total divorce. And he says, you may see the Georgia Bulldogs sponsored by Chico's bail bonds, and they got it on their jerseys. I think that's appropriate for Georgia, Chico's bail bonds. But we may see the Publix Gators, for example. And there's going to be some hard decisions made. Are we going to continue this charade now that they're amateurs? They're no longer amateurs. You were an amateur. I don't know. You may have gotten a few cups of coffee and some Cokes when you were there. Somebody may have bought you a beer even. Not that you would ever drink beer. I know you.
Never.
Pure as the driven snow. But let's face it. In these days and times, you're a two-time SEC Player of the Year. You were an All-American. In these days and times, you would have been worth $1 million. Bryce Young last year, as a true freshman, before he'd ever won the Heisman, got more than $2 million. Now, can you imagine how much money he's getting this year? I bet you he gets $5-6 million this year. Oscar Tshiebwe, the National Player of the Year at Kentucky. He's coming back. You know what John Calipari told me standing over there by the bus before Kentucky pulled out after they beat Florida here? He said, Tshiebwe's coming back. And I said, you really think so? He said, yeah, he'll take a pay cut if he goes to the NBA.
Well, that's what's going to happen.
Basketball player drives a Porsche.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And Tshiebwe wasn't going to he wasn't even going to get drafted. But when you bring up Bryce Young's probably going to make more money this year than a lot of the NFL starting quarterbacks. And that is just not right, in my opinion. But that's where we are. That's where we are today. Franz, we could do this for hours. Great stuff as always, my man. I appreciate you taking the time to come on the program, but we have run out of time. We're going to get you back on, though, buddy. You have a great day, and we appreciate your time.
God bless you, Shane.
Yep, that is Franz Beard from Gator Bait. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. We're going to take our final time out, come back, and wrap up this program.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gareen Weeby Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Ironwood Golf Course. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at South State Bank. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. This day in sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Give them a call if your AC is screwing up, 352-376-2366. This day in sports, 1983, the NFL draft, which is Thursday night. Stanford quarterback John Elway is the first pick of the Baltimore Colts, and he said, I ain't playing for them. Ends up going to Denver. That got me thinking about the first overall pick. Have the Gators ever had a first overall pick? I'm sure some of our listeners would know the answer to that. I don't think we have. But anyway, I really want to thank Buddy Martin and Franz Beard from Gator Bait Media for joining our program. Those guys bring a lot to the program. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you have a great day. Make sure you have all your friends and family out there. Go like and follow our programs on all those different platforms out there. Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. There's plenty of other ones that I don't know of. But tell them to follow us and like us. Hope you have a great day out there. We'll see you tomorrow.